All right, people. Here we are. This is another great episode of the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to our minds. I'm Crazy Dee and
Tracey.
And we are the husband and wife team that review films in the movies, and also anything that is culturally relevant and interesting in American culture today or globally. Today we're going to be reviewing Searching and the Bobby Brown story. Lock your seatbelts in. Okay, so we just came from seeing the movie Searching, and let's talk about who's starring in the film.
Well, the movie stars
Go ahead and
John Cho and
Deborah Messing,
Will and Grace. And you know what? It was one of the best movies that I've seen actually all year.
Ooh, that is a lot to say. The best movie that she's seen all year. Let me tell you something. Searching is definitely a film to go see. And we're going to break it down why. So, we have the two main stars. The synopsis of the film, it's about the lengths that two parents will go to protect their children. That is what the story is about. That's the synopsis of it. We open up the story, and it is told, believe it or not, from the viewer's POV. You see this from your view if you were looking at a computer screen. It is very innovative and interesting for them to have created something where you see this whole story happening from basically the internet.
Yeah, and along with John Cho, who is the star of the film, from the Harold and Kumar series.
And you would know him from that. Yeah. That franchise was hilarious. And also you know him as playing now Sulu in the latest adaptation of Star Trek. He's now Sulu.
Although he is the star of the film, I guess Michelle La would be considered his co-star, but actually, I mean, she is the focus of this film, and she did an excellent job.
Yeah, it's a detective story.
Right. It's also a thriller.
Yeah, it's a thriller.
Right.
But it's a detective thriller story. It's like he becomes. Well, let's break the story down. The story is told to you through entries, starting way back when I would say that the internet first really got to popping and getting hot. And it's surrounding a family, a mother, a father, and the daughter. Yeah. And it starts from her birth and the father being computer savvy. Yeah. And chronicling their lives on computers, first starting with Microsoft, then Messenger, and then all these pictures and everything. And as each platform came about, you see Facebook come about, you see Tumblr come about.
Just like all of them. And what's amazing about this is through this visual of the interaction on a computer, you see the life of this family, and it tells a story, and it makes you feel like you actually know these people. It makes you connected to the family because the main character, you've been introduced to her since she was born.
since she was born.
Right. So you see this newborn, and then you see this
the gradual steps.
From being a toddler to being a little girl to teenager to
taking
a young lady.
lessons.
Yes, and it just you go on this journey. Now this is just like a small piece of the film, the introduction, because like we said, this is a thriller, and John Cho is this is the first American film starring a Korean actor in history, so we have to give him kudos for that.
Yeah, a Korean or Asian actor
Yeah.
in a lead in an American film.
Yep.
However, now remember how we often talk about the shakeup at Sony, and the woman was fired, but she was sending those emails back and forth with people saying that black films don't sell overseas, and la-di-da-dee-dee-da, and that they need to push more white male leads in films and things. Well, and I told you that once it fell, that the Japanese studios and the Chinese studios are getting more involved within the American film system and industry. Well, this one is another example of another set of Asians, because like I've always told you, Russians are bleached Asians. Well, this is produced by a Russian producer and filmmaker. He didn't direct it, but this time, but he is the main producer on the film. And so when you go in there, you always have to look at who's producing and who is doing what on films.
Now, even though we told you the beginning of the film, we just kind of gave you a feel for who's on a computer, because this is, you said, what, POV?
Yes, but point of view.
Point of view.
So it's throughout the whole film, it is your point of view looking at this. The whole film is told through the internet,
which is so interesting, because it is, like he said, it's a thriller. There's all kinds of twists and turns. We're not going to give it away, but this is an amazing movie. So done.
So we can tell this much to let people know the extent of what's happening. So you open up the film and you see their lives. Then cancer becomes involved. And then there's a remission, then there's return, and then there's a departure. And then this is when the film really kicks off. And you find that there's a disjointedness between the daughter and the father, that the father does not recognize, which leads the daughter to
twists and turns.
Leads the daughter to find friendship over the internet. And this is how do you discover this? You discover it because the father becomes a detective. He was always computer savvy, and their whole life was chronicled. So that means the mother chronicled. He chronicled. When the daughter got old enough, she chronicled on the computer. And as it unfolds.
Because the movie is called Searching. He's searching for his daughter. And he uses all of these various platforms, and it's extremely proactive,
Yes, and it is it is incredible. It is innovative, and it is really unbelievable how he's able to find out how to break codes, and get new passwords. They make it so easy today to do these type of things, and he's searching for his daughter, and he's searching all the way to the end. He stands for his daughter. Then you are introduced to Deborah Messing, as the you're introduced to Deborah Messing as the detective, and everything seems good, and that's why we will leave it right there. You have to see Searching,
because we left out how we just talked about the main characters, but throughout the film you're introduced to various secondary throughout the film. So you get a feel of their personalities while this father is going on a search for his daughter. So,
and it's all, again, this is all seen through the internet. There's never a time when you are actually seeing the people like as if you're a fly on the wall and you would be considered the fourth wall. You are there, and it's as if you would be typing on the computer screen. Well put together, the best POV movie that I have ever seen. Ever. They tried that back in the 40s. That wasn't too good, and you only got to see the detective once through the mirror image, and that particular camera swings, I can't remember the film at the time, right now at this time, but the camera swing between him and the lady that's in the mirror at the same time when you see him, beautiful work there, but that was the only thing about it. Other than that, it is like, oh my God, all you doing is seeing this through POV. However, this is done through internet, and it's really showing you how the internet has become not only pervasive, but a useful tool that can solve a mystery.
It can, and you're gripped from the beginning of the movie to the end. And I can tell you, I mean, I have never seen a film where I was just so like gripped in from the beginning to end. I mean, this film takes you on a ride, and it was just well done.
Yes, right. You put your seatbelts on in the theater, because you will go through twists and turns in this film. Well written, well thought out. The story beats hitting right in the right places. There is no doldrum in this film whatsoever. There's no slow period in this film whatsoever. It is full throttle from when the young lady does not answer his phone call all the way to the end of the film. And let me tell you, he searches for his daughter, and he rides for his daughter like a parent should. And like I told you before, the synopsis of the film is about how two parents, the lengths that two parents will go to save their children. And this is what the movie is about. So we're not going to give any spoilers away for it, because you have to go see this film. Do not see this on bootleg. Do not see this on the Fire Stick. Go in and experience this in the theater and get the oohs and ahs with the audience. Go see this film. Okay, so what would you rate this film?
Oh, please. I would give it a 10 plus.
10 plus.
10 plus.
10. Did you hear that, people? 10 plus. You know what I mean?
10 plus 10.
Oh, God, you giving it a 20?
It's got to.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to give it a 10. That's the highest rating that we have. My wife went 10 plus 10. It's 20. She gave it a 20. I'm going to give it a 10. It's well worth seeing. You will be gripped in your seat. You will be sitting there. You'll be like, what's going on? You'll be trying to figure it out all the way through. They give you enough suspects in the film to make you think it's going one way, and then they just twist it another way, and you are shocked when you get to the conclusion of what's happening in this film. You know what I mean? So searching, I gotta give it an A++, a rating of a 10. See this. Now, before we get to reviewing, now get your seatbelts on. Okay, because before we go to reviewing the Bobby Brown story, we have to say that Black Book TV, that is in Las Vegas, digital antenna 18.6, is now streaming over the internet globally. So that means what you see on 18.6 K-Hemp in Las Vegas, Nevada, is now being shown globally over the internet. Easiest way to get there, you go to blackbookbusinessdirectory.biz.
If you have an easier way to break it down, if you have a film or a video or a commercial, anything promoting yourself or anything promoting your business, it doesn't matter if you're in a city. You can be visiting friends in New York. You can be visiting friends in Cleveland. You could even be in Vermont. You can be visiting your family in Jamaica as well as in London. You can be seen.
You can be in Africa, in the continent of Africa, in different countries, or you can be in Europe, any part of Europe, Ireland,
Brazil,
South America, even Argentina. We told you about Argentina in the last film, Operation Finale. But anyway, you can see Black Book TV.
And your family can see you and friends, which is the most important.
That's right. So all artists who have music videos, what are you waiting on? We're talking about hip-hop. We are all hip-hop. We love R&B, we love jazz, we love blues, we love all of the art forms that we have created, but we are pushing hip-hop music on Black Book Hip Hop. Matter of fact, we are in the middle of Black Book Hip Hop Weekend, where you are seeing the people who have already come in to who have submitted their music. You submit music to Lordland Enterprises at hotmail.com. Some people leave the S off of enterprise, and I have to tell them you have to put the S, so it's enterprises. Lordland Enterprises at hotmail.com. Attention, Black Book Hip Hop submissions, right? You send that to it with your brief bio. Hopefully you have your ISRC number so that you can track your rotations. That's how you let people know that you're hot. And you send that in, and the deadline to send in is September 30th for the October show. We're coming in once a month. These are like mixtapes. The way that I edit is like a mixtape, because I come from a DJ background. In Cleveland, Ohio, we did not just put record after record. We actually remixed and mega mixed. So the feel of what you get on a Crazy Dee produced, edited show is that of a movement of a mixtape. And that's what this is. Black Book Hip Hop on Black Book TV, global as well as right here in Vegas, 18.6 digital antenna. Black Book Hip Hop is a mixtape. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to turn it into a mixtape and start putting it on different platforms so that these artists get their exposure. But it is in constant rotation. It is happening in the middle of Black Book Hip Hop Weekend on Black Book TV. So we want to tell you about that.
And then the artists, you have to shout out the...
Okay, I'm going to shout out. First, I want to shout out Brian Harris. Because Brian Harris came to me and said, we're going to do this, and he has executed. And I've had people who have come up to me. See, I roll with my people. You understand what I'm saying? I roll with my people. There's nothing that anyone can say about my people that it will go in one ear and out the other. I roll with my people. People have asked me, does he know what he's doing? It seems like, you know how I know he knows what he's doing? Because you didn't do it. Because if you could do it, you would have done it. And that's the whole point. So, does he know what he's doing? Of course he does, because I've just seen him figure things out. So I'm a problem solver. And so when you meet another problem solver, it's amazing to see how their mind works on the different problems that they solve. And most people, why they don't do what problem solvers do is because they don't know how to solve problems. And so that's what it is. So when people ask me, does he know what he's doing? I'm saying, of course he knows what he's doing, because you can't do it. And that's the way it is. And when people ask me different questions, I say, do you know how to edit? Do you know how to make sound correct? Do you know how to make the picture sound correct? Do you know how to make a picture emotional to people just by them looking at that image? Do you know how to do that? If you don't know how to do that, you don't know what you're doing, so you are not qualified to be a critic on anything because you don't know how to do it. And so that's what it is. And like I say, this is my hip hop side talking, because I am truly a hip hopper. I ride. And so the truth is, critics never live it. See, there's people who are backstage but they're not the ones that are doing the blood, sweat, and tears on the stage that allows them to be backstage. So I always give credit to the talent. And so let's shout out some of the talent. Of course, Miles Lowe, when he saw the call and I told him about it, he watched the promo video that I did about sending in videos. He automatically sent it right in, right then. Other people, we have people from New Jersey on there. We have people from Las Vegas. We have people from LA on there. Got to shout out Simo. Simo's new record is on there. The guy, Kels. That record right there, because Count on Me should be a big hit. Period, point blank. Kels, big hit. And of course, we are shouting out and working with Nina Ross as the featured artist. You know, let me talk about Nina Ross for a minute before we get on the Bobby Brown story. Everything that Nina Ross produces, you'll be able to go on there and get her SoundCloud and go over to her SoundCloud. Every beat that she raps on, she kicks lyrics. She kicks lyrics that people can feel. And I want people to know this, and I want it to be clear that Jedi mind tricks don't work on Crazy Dee. I'm seasoned in the game. You know, I ran retail. I own my own retail business for 15 years, marketed it, promoted it, made it successful for 15 years, seen almost everything. Anything new, I say, oh, that's something new to put into the database. But I've seen a lot of things, and I know one thing. If people do not work together, I can guarantee you, think about what you are doing right now, and 20 years from now, you will be doing the same thing. If people do not work together, you will be doing the same things, same thing that you're doing now 20 years from now. If you don't want to be doing the same thing that you're doing now 20 years from now, you don't think it's very successful, start actually showing love to people. That's what I did. I've been conscious since I was 5 years old. And one day I would tell that story of how I became conscious. But I've been conscious since I was 5 years old, and it's always been about working with people and showing genuine love. I was producing hip-hop, producing mixtapes, and at the same time, in my store, and even before I got my store, I would promote other DJs and other producers and other hip-hop writers working together. I would do that. And so people know me from Cleveland, Ohio as showing love to people, and thus I got love back. So I show genuine love here. I'm not jaded. I don't care about trying to be the big guy. I just stand and I deliver. And that's what keeping your word is. Word is bond. So Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. And so back to now Nina Ross. Nina Ross, when you watch the interview that Simo did of her on Dope Hangouts, you will see that she talks about not the conflict that she's had, but that she's running into people who don't keep their word. She doesn't say it in those words, but I'm breaking it down. She's saying that she is running into people who don't keep their word. Okay? And most of it are black men. Black men. It is horrible. So all during the time when we were trying to get her video done during the summer, she would get the people together, trying to get the people together that are on the record, or try to get other people together on the record, and they will all not fall through and be down, but fall through, not show up. So I decided, because I'm a great editor, I decided I would go get the pieces and put it together and introduce you to another one of her songs that she's done, just a little snippet of it, and let you feel who she is within the whole interview, and letting you see pieces of the live footage that we did when we shot the Ghetto Folks video, which then things happened and Mind Tricks was being played, and it was all ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. I can tell you one more time before we move on to Bobby Brown. If you are not about truly showing love to people and working together, you will be doing the same things that you're doing now 20 years from now. And me, myself, I'm 47. I'm not interested in doing the same things 20 years from now that I'm doing. I'm interested in being chilling on the beach, having a non-alcoholic lemonade, chilling on the beach saying, a job well done, living out the rest of my life. If you are not about showing true love, you will be doing the same things now that you are doing, that you're doing now. You will be doing 20 years later, and 20 years later, you're 20 years older, and we know that the hip hop is a youth-driven game, 8 to 18 mostly. And then if you're solidified, you can go into your 20s and your 30s with it. And if you're solidified like me, I just keep on elevating and advancing and doing new things, and not even showing everything that I can do even in the editing game yet. I haven't shown it yet. People haven't brought the ducats for me to show you exactly what I can do. The chatter, the confetti, you know what I mean? So that's what I want to say about that. So we have her as the featured artist. And then we have just banging. We got I.C. Jones. See, I do not segregate our struggle. We have gospel rap artists on the piece, and they blend right in with everyone else.
Along with great interviews.
Great interviews. We have Talib Kweli on there. We have his DJ, Spin Selected, Spin Selected, something like that. If we have him on there. We have the interview with Nina Ross on there, and we're setting up interviews with people. Then we have Young Chef. Somebody tell him. Somebody tell him. Somebody tell him. Somebody tell him. See, I'm a hip hopper, so I got rhythm. That's how I can feel this music. But anyway, okay. So that's best be said again. Black Book TV, K-Hemp 18.6 is now globally streaming thanks to the innovation of the innovative mind of Brian Harris, and being able to put the team together to be able to deliver this, and finding the person in me that was not a program director who could program music or program shows, but my ability of editing, that was my skill set, and now I can put PD on my resume as well. And the train is leaving the station. When I talk to people, let me say this also. When I talked to people months ago and we drew up agreements, and some agreements were signed, some weren't. When I draw up agreements, I already know what's happening, what's already getting ready to happen in the future. So when I talk to people, always know I am not a BSer. I am not a BSer. When I say I have an idea, I actually have the lights, camera, action to execute the idea. I just need the willing talent to do it. Shout out to Miss Diva, who I approached her with it. She automatically said yes. We went and did it. Everything is set up. Everything is split. When I work with someone individual, everything is split 50-50. That's as fair as I can get it. You bring the talent, I bring the talent of filming and editing. I may do a little more work, but people don't understand, oh, you got to recoup first and then do it. I can recoup while still splitting with you 50-50 so you can have some money in your pocket, because I'm a fair dude. If people are not doing that type of business with you, they are not fair, and we will leave it right there, because it's a new model, because people can do it themselves, but I always did it that way. That's why people who know me, they love me, because they know that I've always been a fair dude. The copyrights and the publishing has always been fair. I wasn't a label trying to jerk you out your ducats, out your paper, out your confetti. Okay, so that's what we want to say. Watch Black Book TV. We are now global, and we are here for people to be seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated, like LordlandFilms.com, because I'm the program director. So we'll go there. Okay, now get ready to lock in your seatbelts, because listen, the Bobby Brown story is a monster. The Bobby Brown story is a monster. Listen, I know people have seen it, so we're not going to be doing any spoilers.
Right.
Because not only did BET roll this out on BET, but they also rolled it out so that you could see it on BET.com.
Oh, nice.
Full episode. So full episode, the two nights you can see it on. So I know there is no one who has not seen this yet, so we now have spoilers. So the synopsis of the film, to me, to the 2-night, a 6-hour piece on Bobby Brown, nearly 6-hour piece on Bobby Brown, was a man through constant death and disappointment,
right,
finds a way to persevere and not only survive, but live. That is the synopsis of the Bobby Brown story. Okay, so as the story opens up, you are introduced to Bobby Brown in a flashback. The action of introducing the initiating event to why Bobby Brown was the way that he was, and what and his driving force was the death of his friend.
Yeah.
That's the initiating event. Now, they tell you in script writing that you're not supposed to have an initiating event happen in a flashback, but this happens. People are breaking the rules of writing and film all of the time, and I love it, because I do non-linear work myself, and I love breaking the rules. After you master the rules and you get the A's in your classes for being able to do it right, then you just rearrange and do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Because that's your individual signature as an auteur. And so I have to give these people their props, because they do the initiating event, because it's a flashback and he's standing there. He's just kicked out. You find through dialogue that he's just been kicked out of New Edition. Let me say this. Nowhere in the film do you see any of the dissertation, any of the messiness between him and the New Edition members.
Right.
It is a beautifully edited piece. They said the New Edition story told that already.
Covered that, yeah.
And I have a sneaking suspicion, I'm going to say this, I have a sneaking suspicion that once all of these different, after the Bev, DeVoe situation is filmed and released, that they're going to be able to join together these different elements and make a 10-hour picture that will you will be able to see each individual person's journey within those different stories. When they do the Ralph Tresvant story, the Johnny Gill story, and how that's all interwoven, they're going to be able to put together. It won't be 10 hours. They'll narrow it down to about a 4-hour, maybe a 6-hour piece, three nights, and they'll be able to show you each individual one's struggle up through to where they are today. It's a beautiful piece. So anyway, okay, what do you have to say first? Let's start there before we move to the love interest.
It was well done. I love, like, the nucleus of Bobby Brown's family. Like his mother, we saw his father because we didn't see his father in the New Edition film.
Yeah,
we saw his mother.
You would have
right?
thought that he didn't have a father.
Right. You would have thought he
was just it was a single mama, single mother, a child.
Right, but after seeing the film, you saw his mom, his dad, his brothers and sisters, and they were his backbone. And his brother was his management.
Gave up, sacrificed.
Right, yeah, because he had a degree in journalism. And he was a working journalist.
Yeah, that's where he wanted to be.
Right.
But he gave it up. But his skill set
helped.
Loaned to Bobby Brown's career.
Right.
Helped because he could, somehow cut down on the negative articles.
Right.
Find ways to correct the wrong imaging that they had put on Bobby Brown.
Great communication skills
That's
as far as getting deals done for Bobby, And so I love that part, seeing his family and his mother, again, we saw her in the New Edition film. She was his backbone. So to see his family included in this film, it was nice to see. And then, of course, we saw the relationship with him and Whitney and Bobby Christina. And I also enjoyed seeing how his career, it blended in with his personal life, how he met his second wife. So that was really nice, and she was really there for him too.
She was actually always around.
She actually
from the very beginning. I mean, from the very beginning when he went solo.
Right, when he went solo. Right.
So she was always around. It's interesting. She was
a good friend.
A good friend, and wasn't trying anything.
Right.
But when the time happened,
right,
I could tell. I didn't know that was going to be his wife, but I could tell by the way it was acted that she had some feelings for him. Yeah. But she was a respectful woman to herself and to him, and to not try to move in, because Bobby Brown was definitely a Brown.
Yeah.
And he's not only I'm going to say, well, I'm going to use the past tense because he's still here with us. So I'm going to use the past tense for the past of his past. He was definitely opinionated and determined and did it his way.
Right.
Like Sinatra would say.
Right.
Whatever happens, I did it my way.
Right.
And he did it his way. It was his prerogative, and he did it his way. And that is what makes success against all odds, balls against the wall. You get it done, and you have the pieces around you that can get it done. And that's what he did. And I would say the picture also is a picture of no regrets.
Yeah.
Because in the end, when he turns around and he looks at his family,
which was nice to see, because it was nice to see his other children, because we all know about Bobby Christina. So it was nice to see those children, and it was also nice to learn about his previous relationships. So you got a chance you were introduced to his children as well as the mother of his children.
That's right.
Who he had seemed to have had a really good friendship with them.
Even though they felt a little hurt.
Right.
The first felt that he wasn't spending enough time.
Right.
But he was providing for the child.
Right.
The second tried to step in during his relationship with a person, we'll get on that, and another baby was conceived from that, but still they were around. Now let me break this down. There are only a few people that I have seen in Black history. So I'm only dealing in Black history. I'm not dealing in European American history right now. I'm dealing with Black history in the music in particular. Quincy Jones is one of those people who comes to mind that can have the women and the children all together during the holidays to celebrate holidays.
And Will Smith.
Will Smith. Yeah, but I'm talking about Quincy Jones had quite a few. Will Smith. Well,
still,
there's a regret. I mean, we'll talk about Will Smith on the time, but I'm just saying that yes, they come together, but I would say that it was not his fault. What happened with him? I'm talking about people who have actively gone out as men and have had affairs, so to speak, who can still have the women all come together, the children all come together and have a relationship. And that is one thing that you have to commend Bobby Brown for. He believed in family. He always wanted his family around him. He always did for his family. He was out there and he was making sure that his family, all of his children, were taken care of while he was out there doing his thing. And that is a hard road. Truly it is. I mean, for the man to withstand everything that he went through and still be standing today with that pressure, that is a pressure. Automatically, as a black man in this society, you have a pressure on you. You could be doing nothing at all. You could be doing nothing wrong at all and just be walking down the street and you can get into some trouble that you had nothing to do with.
Just minding your own business.
Just minding your own business, and then cops can blow down on you. You know what I mean? And for nothing. And we know that history, so we're not going to go to the history. But you can have that. So that pressure's on you. Then you have the pressure of, okay, you're doing this and you're meeting different people, and then you bring seeds into this world, you know, and you bring children in, and then you have that pressure. Then you have the pressure of your profession that you're doing and having to deal with different personalities that way. So that's a lot of pressure on the man, and that would be high blood pressure and everything else going on, and still he stands and not only survives but lives and he's had 4 families, right?
Yeah, and kicking that drug habit.
Yep. You know what I mean? That was big. And wait a minute now. We're going to get this. It's not a spoiler because you've seen it. But he was in the jail cell and he told his cellie that just give me some of the drug. I will do anything. And to have a conscious cellmate that said, it's only a little while, Bobby, you can kick this, instead of taking advantage and then showing you who would really want to have taken advantage of him, but European American that was trying to sell him the drugs, and we don't know what would have been in the drugs. Could have been laced with something else other than just cocaine or whatever it was. And he was sitting across from his cellie and said no, and the dude said he'll be back kissing my feet for it, and he never did. And so commending Bobby Brown on all that he went through and coming through, he is a true testament of what a black man against all odds comes out on the other side on a positive level. No matter what happens, that I have to give that to him. Now, let's get to the love life for a minute. We're talking about the famous women, because we've talked about the women who were not necessarily famous, but people who were in his neighborhood and around. Let's talk about the famous people. Let's talk about Janet Jackson. I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll talk about. I want to get a woman's perspective before I give the male perspective.
Well, Janet commented on the movie, and she stated that there was no relationship. It was just a friendship. So, but it was shocking in the film to see that she dated Bobby as it was portrayed in the film. But again, she stated that they didn't date. There was no relationship.
Right. There's no dating. Right. But there was copulation. So we don't have to say that they were dating. Said it didn't happen. Okay, wait a minute. I cannot take the word of Janet Jackson. Now let's break down.
I gotta look out for Janet.
Okay, look out for Janet. But I cannot take the word of Janet Jackson right now, because Janet Jackson, all through the years, we didn't even know that she was with Renee. She kept that, oh, I'm single. She never brought it up. And then in the end, Tupac was the first one to bring it out that he felt or believed that she was with Renee, because he was always there on the set. Right? What's the name of that movie?
Poetic Justice.
Poetic Justice. He was always around. And Tupac was talking to her, and now, in his song he said, "Forgive me, Janet," and all that. And then Janet Jackson, in an interview just recently, said that Tupac always knew the connects to get in contact with her. With. I don't believe that.
Well, I mean,
I don't believe it.
Well, he knew who her manager was, so if you know who the manager is,
but
Tupac was on a level where he could have gotten in touch with anybody.
No, wait a minute now. This is early hip hop, and they were R&B or pop royalty or whatnot.
Right.
And Tupac, if I remember correctly, said that they gave numbers, but then her number was disconnected after when he went to call. Just
that's the norm. You know how celebrities, they have to change their phone numbers.
Okay, well, I mean they have to. No, that's not true. Yeah. There was a woman who used to run a marketing agency, and she once talked to me over the phone about KRS-One, and she said that KRS-One always changes his number.
Right.
And in the business, in this business, the people who are in business should always have a number that people can get in contact with them on. The number that they give people who are business contacts in the industry, they should always be able to get in contact with them and not have to search around for another telephone number. So for them to give Pac the number and then to have the phone disconnected, to me, that's phoniness.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember, because I've heard this many times, but I think it was I don't know if it was Dave Chappelle but I know the celebrity said that it might not have been Dave Chappelle, but someone Breakfast Club interview maybe. That they have to change their numbers often because sometimes, the number can get in the hand of someone who maybe is someone who is pushing a product or pushing some type of agenda.
Okay, so right after they gave the number to Pac, all of a sudden somebody came up to him and was pushing an agenda, and they just so happened to just disconnect their numbers. Okay, I'll go with that. Do you believe that, people?
Yes.
Anyway, okay.
People change numbers.
So wait.
I have had multiple numbers.
I know you've had multiple numbers because of move, not because of what. But anyway, that's how it's.
I mean, because you think about when you were in elementary school, right? So
my people,
but my parents,
people have had the same number through people who were prank calling to all of that. Right. They have had the same number.
Right.
My mother has passed, and we still have the same number.
That's true.
In Cleveland, Ohio.
My grandmother, she does. She still.
That's right. Okay.
But other than them, everybody else we know, they've changed their numbers a few times.
That's just like how people.
Because as adults, you move to different places.
Right.
And,
but numbers, exchanges go with you.
Not all the time.
With you. Okay, but look. Okay. So, now. About this, about the illicit sex scenes, which I hear from reliable people in the industry that the scenes were cut. There's a scene that's supposed to be in there that's not in there, and they cut it out because they have that thing with Black Girls Rock coming up. Now it's funny how the Jacksons are, I won't assume, but it's funny how they will insert themselves when it's something that could negatively affect them. Then they'll come back around black people. But before that, it's okay to be aloof and not around black people, which that's their prerogative. They paid the cost to be that type of boss because they worked hard for what they did. So I give it to them.
Well, that's what made Janet different, because she was always ingrained in the black community.
No, she's not always ingrained, because if the story is true about the bedroom scene, now we'll get to the sex later. That's illicit. But sitting there having a conversation, and Bobby Brown asks her, is it because I'm black and you're not supposed to, you don't want to be with a black man? And she says, no, that's not it. But if you notice, she was with Renee. Then she goes over.
Well, at the time she was engaged.
No, she was engaged to Renee, who
Right.
nobody knew. And then Bobby Brown said, what are we doing? Because Bobby Brown had feelings for her, right? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? And you've got this person. She said, we're going to keep it on low. Automatically, that makes Janet Jackson look really bad.
Well, you're a filmmaker, so we know how in film certain things can be changed to make it interesting.
Well, I don't think that because Bobby Brown could get sued. Okay, so I don't think they're going to make it that interesting for him to be sued. No, he's going to tell the truth. He's not telling his truth. He's telling the truth. This is what happened in his life. So he's not going to risk that by trying to make it sensational like he was with Janet Jackson. Because for goodness sakes, he is Bobby Brown and he is telling a story, and he held 2 nights down. It could have been 3 nights because they could have expanded the Whitney, Bobby Christina and his story together. They could have expanded that for a whole 3rd night, but they didn't. They capsulized it.
Well, but if that was the case, I would have preferred that he was with Janet compared to Whitney.
Okay, we'll
that
get
was
to Whitney.
like
That was a train wreck. But listen, we've always known, and when you watch the Jackson story, the father told them, do not get with those black girls because those black girls get pregnant. Okay, well, I think that the white girls got pregnant. I think, right? Ain't that what happened? I think that's what happened. So they say, don't get with the black girls because they get pregnant. Now, what was he saying about his wife? Because he might have known some women, but that was the woman he was married to, and he was constantly kicking out children with her, right? And those children happened to have taken them where he couldn't go as a musician. He was working in the factories in Indiana, and they couldn't go. So why would he say that? Not to dump on the dead, because if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for the mother being the mother she was, and him being the father that he was, they wouldn't be where they are today. So I'm not going to ever dump on him. It's just I have to question just that little bit of why. Why would you down what brought you to where your success and brought you to places that you would have never seen if you didn't have 6 or 7 children? Okay, that's one thing. So we can know by that story that what Bobby Brown was saying, asking her, it was true, and she denied it. Now, she moved on. We don't know who she had in between. We don't know if she was like Jennifer Lopez getting with the side dancers, but we don't know that. But we're gonna leave that alone. But then she moves on to
we're talking about the Bobby Brown story. This is not the Janet Jackson story.
No. Wait a minute. Now let's finish. Then she moved on to the Arab guy, right? Now all that thing. Now let's take out that he's an Arab. Let's say he's Muslim, and she has to deal with that aspect of.
Well, that was her husband.
I know that's her husband, and she has to deal with that because they broke up because what did they say? He didn't want her doing certain things, and he wanted a certain way for the child. So now she has to deal with that for the rest of her life, and all of this going on. We don't know because the truth is the Ottoman Turks are funny because of the region they come in, what they've had to do, the battles over the centuries that they've had to fight. You know what I'm saying? They came from a rough, rugged area, not like the Africans who were in nice climates where everything you could grow and move, right? For those who didn't become nomads and moved across the land bodies, So you have to deal with this for the rest of your life. That is, to me, a poor decision. And you want to know why I think it's a poor decision? I think it's a poor decision because always bet on black people. I always bet on black. And I have never been disappointed. Now, you have to have the ability to see, to have vision, to see who's good and who's bad. And sometimes people can fool you.
Right.
But I've always bet on black, and I've always been successful. Always bet on black. Now listen, before a Bobby Brown and a Janet, they could have been a power couple in music. But let's go back. Let's go back and give some history. Before there was Ashford and Simpson, there was Gay and Terrell. But that was really kind of like put together, right? So we can leave that off. That was kind of put together by Gordy Records, which was the offset of Motown. So we could put that aside for a minute. But so the power couple first was Ike and Tina.
Right, that's true.
Ike and Tina.
Right.
Then it would have went to Ashford and Simpson,
Right.
who were a power writing couple team who not only wrote records for people but also performed and had a catalog. Then you would have come to Janet Jackson and Bobby Brown. And what would have made them so powerful is both of them sang, both of them danced, and they would have had... Whitney didn't dance.
No.
Right? She did a little movement. I want to dance with somebody, but she wasn't a dancer. But Bobby Brown and Janet Jackson could dance. They knew choreography. They could pick up choreography, and they could sing. And those would have been some of the greatest duets, and people would have loved buying those albums. And you know who they would have been like? They would have been the first, because Ike and Tina was one thing. Ashford and Simpson was one thing. But they would have been...
Yeah, Jay-Z and Beyonce.
They would have been Jay-Z and Beyonce before Jay-Z and Beyonce. What does Jay-Z and Beyonce do? They own paintings. They own property.
Businesses.
They have businesses. They own title, which made it so that artists could own their own master still. They have children that are educated in what is actually happening, and they are truly pro-black. Do you understand that? So when you don't, and look what happens when you bet on black. Look at all the people who are up because of betting on black. TBE. Right? That is
Kendrick Lamar.
No. TBE is Mayweather, the best ever.
I was thinking about
the other label. TBE, best ever. Mayweather, bet on black. He tries to tell people. Kendrick Lamar. Who else?
J. Cole is
J. Cole.
Right.
Drake.
Right.
Who first found Drake was Prince
Wayne.
Jay's son, who then struck the deal when Lil Wayne, and there was not a disagreement saying, no, we're going to keep them all to ourselves. It was people working together. See what I keep on telling you about synergy of people working together?
Black people working
together. And it's not necessarily perfect, just like, hey, working with people who are European Americans definitely isn't perfect. They're always going to try to find a way to take your money. But here we are, and this synergy is together, and they're making it happen. I got to just put my glasses up for that. They're making it happen.
And Nicki Minaj,
another one. These are people who are up. They are always staying in the industry because the people said, we are not going to jerk you around, and we're going to teach you the game so that you can bring more people in.
SZA.
That's right. That's even not Bobby, but Chris Brown. No matter how much of the TMZ crap that they put across about him, he constantly has number ones. He's constantly producing hits.
And his artist is 7th Streeter.
That's right. And he's moving along and being something about those Browns people. It's something about James Brown, Chris Brown, Bobby Brown. It's something about the Brown. If you go trace that lineage back, I can bet you that they may not have even been enslaved, because some names actually are of free people. There weren't people. Some people were not on plantation with those names. Yeah. Some of those names come from Old England, and when you trace back Old England, you find out that Old England was black first. Go do your research. Now, so
pick up Hidden Colors.
That's right, Hidden 1 through 5. 5 will be coming out in 1804. Gotta see that. But I can say this about Janet Jackson, to me, just my opinion. If you don't bet on black, you're a loser. And that's what it is, because that combination between Bobby Brown and Janet Jackson would have been
amazing.
Just astronomical. It just would have been, I mean, just think about the children that they would have had and the power that they would have had and the staying power. Now, let me just say about Whitney Houston. When you allow your teenage daughter to smoke cigarettes, and when your husband is kicking and kicked it, and you want to keep going with the drugs, I'm just just totally disappointed. And I'm so glad it is a fair portrayal of Whitney Houston. I get tired of that cookie cutter stuff. The cookie cutter image they put up on her. That, you know, hey, all I can say is, wow. That's all I can say. And then you can trace that back to Sissy Houston. Who was Sissy Houston background singer for? Elvis Presley. What happened to Elvis Presley? He died of an overdose on the toilet. Whitney Houston dies of an overdose in the tub. You see what's happening here? So everyone knows that Elvis was a culture vulture for most part. He took the music and he ran with it, and he never really made any amends. He never worked with anyone who was black, other than maybe band members or background singer.
Or took anybody on tour.
Never took anybody on tour.
Like the Rolling Stones, the people they admired, they took on tour.
They took on tour with him. He didn't. So when you look at this, you can see a line traveling through that. And that's all we'll say. But what do you want to say about Whitney?
It was just sad. It was disappointing. But after watching Whitney Houston's documentary and learning that she started taking drugs at a very, very, very young age, I think it's tied into kind of basically, I want to say she had to raise herself, but her mother was a background singer, and her mother was on the road a lot. So, and Whitney always said that she was from the hood or the streets, or she had the streets in her, because her mother was on the road and she was out there doing drugs as a kid. Basically, kind of, it's like it's funny how her and Bobby Christina's lives mirrored each other, because Bobby Christina basically had to raise herself because her mom and dad were both doing their thing. And here this child is, she has like a nanny who, come on, the nanny's getting paid. She really didn't care. And in the end, you had the quote unquote dope boy in the house with you. Right. I mean, that's crazy. But Bobby was always trying to stay in contact with his daughter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he always had his kids around him. Right. Now his other kids don't seem to have that problem. They turned out fine. But just like her mother, Bobby Christina started doing drugs at a very young age as a teenager. So hard drugs. So let's go through it. So we which I'm kind of confused, because they so-called came from, well, I guess it was the image. The whole image was the Houstons were this gospel family, you know, and they had this close, you know, family bond, and everybody's together, and then, you know, Bobby Christina, I was just confused. It was just sad because, okay, so Whitney's gone, but then Whitney's mom is still alive. Her brothers are still alive. The sister-in-law is still there. So it's like, where was this
close-knit family?
Right.
and then they go from the scene of them keeping Bobby Brown and his other children away from her.
Yeah, that was sad.
That was sad, the way that they escorted
sad.
him out, and then when she was trying to, then 2 years later, they meet up, and then later they're there, and then when Bobby Brown came in, it seemed like that was Sissy Houston sitting there that they had talking, and then she was like, "What's going on, doctor?" And he said, "Well, wait a minute. I'm the next of kin, and I make the decisions from now on. Now, you may have had her when she was alive and you were directing her steps, but you didn't do too well, guiding her steps. So now I can, at least in her comatose state, take over and make sure that she gets the best treatment possible and try to bring her out of the coma. And when it's time, take her to hospice." Now, hospice, people, for those of you who have never experienced hospice, take it from two people who have experienced hospice with two of the most important people in their lives, their mothers. Hospice is something else, because when you get there, you know that it is just a matter of time before it's the end. There's nothing. Most people don't come out of hospice. You know what I'm saying? They may believe that they're coming out, but most times when you get down that corridor, when you're at that corridor in Cleveland Clinic, and you come off the elevator and you hit that long corridor, and they say, "Oh, this side is for people who are just convalescing and may walk out." But when you go down that reverse and turn that reverse L, and when you ask, "Oh, are they on this side or are they on that side?" And when you say they're on that side, Cleveland, know
it's
that
terminal.
it's terminal, and it's the end. Or if you go to a private care facility. So that part right there brought tears to my eyes, because anyone who has ever experienced that, it is an experience that you will never forget. And for a father to have to do that for a child, or a mother to have to do that for a child, is just something. But children having to do it for their parent is really something else. So that right there was something. But he took over and he made sure she had the best. Because they had control of her, and they didn't do a good job. So let's move off of that now. We're going to leave that right there. Let that sit right there. We told you to buckle up. Always remember, if you don't bet on black and you're black, you're a loser. Okay, anyway. So what would you rate the Bobby Brown story?
Oh, that movie definitely gets a 10. It was well done.
The actor?
Oh, the actor.
The actors.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Old girl leaves Power to go over to play Bobby Christina.
Yeah. Oh, yes, the daughter. She played Rena.
Yeah.
On Power.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And she goes from there to play this.
Bobby Christina.
Christina. I hope we look for more things, because usually actors, when they're younger and they play death scenes a lot, that usually is like a death knell in their career, and we hope not, because she is a great actress, and we want to see her in film and not just subjected just to being a stage actress, but being able to do stage and film and television all at the same time and be a big name, because she's excellent.
And Woody McClain did an excellent job playing Bobby Brown.
Yes, he did.
Excellent.
Very big. And you know who he looks like, though? I was sitting there looking at him, and I said, he could probably play the Eddie Murphy story.
Yeah, you did.
And they'll probably break out the same false gap teeth and say, pop them back in. You're doing the Eddie Murphy story.
And the funny thing about it is, he said in an interview, Woody McClain, his mother went to school with Eddie Murphy. So... And he kind of... But anyway, we'll leave that alone. And Gabrielle Dennis, she did an excellent job playing Whitney Houston.
She did.
Hit it on the nose.
She did. I mean, it was incredible. Yeah. It was incredible. She got up there. She hit it. Like, just the scenes where it was conflict, and you say, damn, Whitney, really?
Right.
You
Yeah.
forget that you were watching a story. And you was like, damn, Whitney, really?
Right.
But anyway, so I give it a 10.
Yeah.
The acting,
Yeah.
the writing,
Yeah.
the way that they did not get into the mess of trying to rehatch the New Edition stories. And then when you did see the
Right.
New Edition members,
Right.
you saw them in peace.
Yeah, you did.
Especially when he proposes to his now wife
Yeah.
at the concert.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
she
was
was
nice.
unsuspecting.
And Mekhi Phifer played an excellent
Mekhi
job playing Bobby
Phifer.
Brown's brother, Tommy Brown.
Mekhi Phifer. These are great actors in the industry. So yeah, so I give it a 10. It's well worth watching, and I can't wait until they put the pieces together. Go ahead.
We talked about the actress that played Bobby Brown's mother, Carol Brown,
Mm-hmm.
Sandy McCrae.
Mhm.
She was excellent as his mother. You felt it.
The father.
Now, his father was played by T.K. Carter.
T.K. Carter.
Herbert Pops. It was good to see him. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. An excellent actor. It's like,
Yeah.
what's happening? You know, they're probably doing stage
Yeah.
and, you know, print and doing other things, but these are actors who they have their chops.
Right.
And to see the established actors with the new actors coming in, it's always a beautiful thing when it's black actors and you see them in films. Just like when we were talking about A Soldier Story.
Yeah.
And seeing the different actors and generations. We need a film
Right.
where we can see all of the actors together starring in a film that introduces the new actors
Right.
and the actors that are established.
Because-
Denzel Washington and
Yeah.
stuff.
The young actor that played Bobby Brown as a young boy
Mm-hmm.
was done by Tyler Marcel Williams.
Mhm.
So speaking of up and coming actors, it was nice to see like that group, like in the New Edition film, from being young boys turning into men, from boys to men. That cast right there reminds me of a Soldier Story,
Yeah.
where you get a combination of black African American actors, black actors, I say. Some people say African American. We're black. But a bunch of, black actors all together in one film, and you watch the film again 10 years later, and you say, oh, there was such and such, such and such.
That's how it
Yeah,
is.
like when we was watching Soldier Story, it was like Denzel Washington was in it. Howard Rollins was in it. Adolph Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And on and on and on. Tommy Davidson from Living
Tommy
Color.
Davidson.
I didn't even know he was in the Soldier Story.
And then
You
there were
know?
actors that you say, wow, what happened to them? And we researched
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
and said they were great actors. So
Yeah.
there are a crop of actors that come from out of that late 70s, even in the
Right.
70s too. Let's not
Right.
get me wrong.
Right.
But I'm talking from that late 70s, early 80s
Right.
that are still here, that should be in films,
Right.
introducing the new actors and showing their chops.
Right.
They have chops. And that's
Yeah.
what we loved about the acting was on point.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
not-
in this film, Bobby Brown's story.
That's right.
The acting was excellent.
And my prerogative video, we went back and looked at the actual one,
Yeah.
and it was to the
the
T.
actual pendant, his
It-
mother's
it-
pendant.
it's-
It was
it-
a great replica.
It's right there,
Right.
right there. And so that's where we'll end it right now. This has been another great episode of the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to our minds. I'm Crazy Dee,
Tracey.
and we are the husband and wife team that talk movies and review anything that is culturally relevant within film that applies to the black diaspora. So stay tuned. Don't forget, Black Book TV is now global. Black Book TV is now global. And we'll end it there. See you next time. The film review.